Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Paul's Planning Tips. Now today I want to talk to you about 3 mistakes that I have seen recently where people have gone out to file for Social Security benefits only to have made one of these mistakes that I don't want you to repeat. The first mistake is relying too heavily on the Social Security Administration office to actually help shape your decisions when you go to file for your benefit. I'm going to tell you an example of this experience we had. Her name was Jane Doe, and she was a retired school teacher, 68 years old. She was divorced, and she was entitled to a divorce spousal benefit of $1,450 a month. She also had worked and was retired to her own personal benefit of $2,128 a month at her full retirement age. Now, she had gone down to the Social Security office a few years earlier in an attempt to file for a divorce spousal benefit at age 66. The well-meaning individual there at the counter indicated, hey, your personal benefit is significantly higher than your divorce spousal benefit. Why would you file for that one when you can have your own benefit, which is much higher? And 2 years later, attended a class that we taught, afterwards raised her hand and asked if she could speak to me. She said, I fear that I may have made a mistake. What you could have done was filed for your divorced spousal benefit and put your own benefit in a restricted application and claimed it at a later date at a much higher payout. We were able to get 6 months of back payment of $8,700 that she was entitled to. That's the good news. The bad news is she forfeit over $26,000. Mistake number 2 is not understanding the tax ramifications. Couple that we met with had a adjusted gross income of $25,000 a year. Now their Social Security benefits were about $30,000 a year, bringing their total income to $55,000, of which only $4,000 was subject to tax. That means only 13% of that income was actually at their taxable percentage. Also, one of the objectives we have is to pay off these solar panels. That was about $20,000. I asked them where they intended to pull the money to pay those solar panels off. They indicated from an IRA. I said, prior to making that decision, why don't we walk through all of the potential ramifications? I said, now if you take $20,000 out of that IRA, it will effectively raise your total income to $75,000 that calendar year, which would then shift the taxable portion to $19,600 based on your Social Security. That's an increase the taxable percentage to 65%. In other words, a $20,000 IRA withdrawal would increase their taxable income by well over $35,000. That's a very expensive way to pay off their solar panels. The third and final mistake was an individual we met with who received his advice from around the water cooler. He worked for a government agency and understood that there would be a potential windfall elimination because he paid into this non-covered pension over the last few years of his work. So his thought was to delay his Social Security benefit to as late as possible. In other words, he knew the future pension would reduce his Social Security, so he and all of his coworkers decided they would maximize their benefits by delaying their already reduced Social Security till as late as possible, thusly maximizing their delayed credits. As you can see in his pre-strategy plan, he was waiting to turn on his Social Security benefit until 70 years old, at which point you can see his benefit beginning right here. This is also the same time where you would see his reduced portion and his total pension outlay. As a combined number, his family was entitled to about $4,400 a month. This strategy could make sense, but the best practice should always be to analyze every data point in our very sophisticated software that crunches each variable and runs algorithms to determine success probabilities. When we did this, it was discovered that his pension would not even begin for 2 years post-retirement. And he had in fact qualified for Social Security based on working for a job in the private sector earlier in his career. This allowed him to turn on his Social Security for 2 years prior to turning on his pension without the windfall elimination provision reducing his benefit. As you can see here, he's receiving the full Social Security benefit, at which point when he turns on his pension, there is a reduction. The cumulative value of those 2 years of benefit far outweighed the delayed credits he would have been entitled to, and gave him an additional $20,000 he didn't even know he was entitled to. Like all things financial planning, a little bit of information goes a long way to making sure that you are going to make the best decision to maximize what is rightfully yours in retirement, including Social Security and not giving up more than you're supposed to in taxes. Now, if anybody wants additional information on this, reach out to our team. We've got a book that we're happy to provide to you called 2022 Social Security Tips and Tricks to Maximize Your Benefit. Also, we have a custom analysis that we're happy to provide all of our clients and even prospective clients that are interested. Until we talk again next time, retire smarter, not harder. Thanks, everybody.